What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Geeks Got Game, the Geekiverse's all video game talk show. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great episode for you today. This is typically our annual E3 prediction show. If you didn't know, unfortunately, E3 is not happening this year due to everything crazy going on in the world. But we're not going to let that stop us from coming up with some crazy fun predictions for things we think may have been coming to E3 anyway. We'll talk about that later in the episode. I'm Josiah Leroy. With me, as always, my wonderful crew of Geeksters, Mr. Jeff Pavlak. Jeff, how you doing?
Very thankful for air conditioning today. It got humid in a hurry around Buffalo.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we're in Buffalo, New York. It snowed 2 weeks ago. Yesterday,
That's true.
Yesterday, 2 days ago, we had breaking 91 degree record temperature. Just brutal.
Tuesday, yeah, it was insane.
Yeah. And I mean, we're still in the 80s now, so it's not like hasn't cooled down significantly yet.
The roller coaster of weather is just killer.
We're at the point where it's not too hot for my upstairs to actually get AC. So I was dreading doing some of these shows earlier in the week because my upstairs doesn't get enough AC when it's really hot out. So I'm glad I'm glad we did them later in the week because that would have been rough.
The only thing hotter than the weather is the takes we're about to give for E3. Am I right?
Ooh.
Okay, sorry. Mr. Disruptoid himself, John Fick. John, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
Very, very good. I'm excited to talk video games. Can you tell?
Yeah.
Mr. Platinum King himself, Rashawn Anderson. Rashawn, are you excited to talk video games?
I am excited to talk some games. E3 predictions. This is the stuff that I joined for. The predictions and analysis, hot takes. This is what it's all about here.
I can't wait till we get back to the real life with I mean, if E3 ever happens again, which who knows if we'll ever see that show, but just even like real shows that we know like are stapled in there that we can sit down and do some predictions for and react to together.
I couldn't agree more. Even just thinking about, relatively a normal semblance of life. Jeff and I were texting the other day just talking about movie theaters. We've gone to so many movies together over the years, just covering for the Geekiverse. And this is probably the longest we've gone in however many years of not going to see a movie together. So, we definitely miss those times. Can't wait to get back to it. And I believe we will. I'm optimistic.
We will.
So,
We're getting there.
As we start off every Geeks Got Game, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast streaming service of your choice, we want to know what's in your system. What have you been playing lately? Tell us, the listeners at home in the comments on our social media. John, I'm going to start with you. What have you been playing?
Tony Hawk, baby.
Oh, original
cool.
Xbox.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Busted out the Xbox 360. Beautiful to have a natively backwards compatible system. So I've been playing this TV in my office here is literally just a Roku machine, and I never even turn it on. I don't ever even use this TV, but I had the proper cables hooked up. So I'm like, you know what? Let's get the Xbox 360 going with the announcement of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 coming out. I was getting the itch to play some Tony Hawk again. I wanted to play the older ones, but I don't have any of those copies. I don't have any of the consoles that would support those for the most part. So this was the next best thing. And I love Tony Hawk's Underground. To me, that's one of the better ones. I think we talked a little bit about it last week, but having a lot of fun with it. My original thought was just to pop it in and bust a few kick flips and a couple of reverts and see if I can get a couple of million plus combos and see if I still got it. I do, by the way, still crushing it. But I've actually played like more than half the game already, and I think I'm just going to see it through and finish it because it's an easy game and a short game. So that's been fun.
Sweet.
Tony Hawk's Underground.
That's awesome.
One huge takeaway is I'm so glad that I think this is the underrated feature of the generation, but suspending your game when you put your console in rest mode is like so. I don't even think about it anymore. I turn my PlayStation on or my Xbox whenever I was playing. It's just there. Now I didn't even think about it. I turn my Xbox 360 off, come up the next day, turn it on. I'm like, oh, I'm on the dashboard, and there's no open apps because it had like 2 gigs of RAM, and that's about it. They couldn't do that. So that's the underrated feature of the generation. I'm going to say it right now is suspending your games. And I can't wait for the Xbox to be able to suspend multiple games in the near future.
That's crazy.
That's going to be great.
That's going to be awesome.
Really cool.
Yeah, underrated for sure because it's not ever talked about.
You don't even think about it. Exactly. Not until you go back to an older console. It's like, oh, this feels archaic, which is silly to say, but aside from some Thug, I've been playing. I got back into Apex Legends. I was looking for something to just kind of the same itch that Tony Hawk. I just want something like tactical to do. I don't really want to get involved into a story right now. I don't really want to sink a lot of brain power into something. I just want to like kick flip or shoot something. So like Apex Legends, I knew was back in the zeitgeist. Season 5 just came out. I don't know what that means. I know what seasons mean, but I don't know what new content that means for the game. I didn't buy the battle pass or anything like that. I'm just having fun with Apex. It's still a super, super good game. Really polished. Love it.
It's good, John. You've been jumping around a little bit, just different variations of games and genres. I think I do a little bit of the same thing.
Yeah. Just to touch on that, I guess I'll give an update to Shadow of the Tomb Raider I talked about last time. I think I gave up on that. We'll see.
How far would you say you are?
Like I would imagine I probably have like 2 hours left, but I just like have no motivation to see it through.
Oh man!
I just
So John, I looked. Our conversation picked up on it outside of the show.
Yeah.
And so when Pavlak and I it was just us doing Geeks Got Game. That I was playing that game. It was fall of 2018. It came out. So it came out in September, and I had to look back at my achievements list on Xbox One because I was like, how far in between starting it did it take me to finish it? It's not a long game. No. It's your run of the mill Tomb Raider Uncharted kind of
12
length
hours,
game.
maybe 15 if you're
at most.
Yeah.
At most, I would say. And I started it right when it came out, first week, and played it a little bit the second week. So we're talking early September, and I went back into it like almost close to Thanksgiving. Like that's how much of and that was surprising because the first two Tomb Raider games I played all the way through, couldn't get enough of, and this one just did not, for whatever reason, capture my interest like it I hoped it would.
Same. Yeah, it's just the story, I think, for me. It's just like so uninspired. Yeah. It's just like all those cliches about tomb raiding and ancient temples and like, oh, just kidding. It's actually the other secret city you're looking for. And it's just,
oh man,
I just don't care about any of it. And I don't care about any of the characters. So I'm just like, the combat's fun. The game's really pretty. So like, that's what's gotten me through the 10 hours or whatever I put in it so far. But nothing's really inspired me to turn the PlayStation back on and pick it back up. So we'll see. Who knows if I might get that itch to just like, I'm so close, might as well finish it. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that was me. And I remember even like complaining about it on Geeks Got Game, almost like I was like, I should finish this, right? Like I should do this. Jeff, talk me into this.
I've never been that guy where I'll just finish something to finish it though. I'm usually just like, you know what? I got some time with it. And if I'm done, I'm done. So.
We've talked about that before. Like I'm the opposite, and I have that problem. I'm breaking it slowly, but like especially with Tomb Raider, like that was a special series, the rebooted one, to me. So to finish that trilogy and go out on a high note was not the expectation I had, unfortunately.
The worst thing that happened to Tomb Raider was Uncharted. When there was no Tomb Raider games, and Uncharted sprung up and took that type of gameplay genre style. See, I don't know. Even though the first couple were good.
That's what I'll say. I'll say the probably the best thing that's ever happened to Tomb Raider is Uncharted. That's how we got the reboot. I think the reboot of Tomb Raider was so inspired by Uncharted. I don't know.
Yeah, it made me a big fan. And I, for what it's worth, I was not one previously for Tomb Raider. So loving Uncharted as much as I did, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, let's get into more of this. So just felt like that last one was mismanaged a little bit. I do want more in the future, though. That being said,
yeah, same.
Crystal Dynamics is a little busy right now. Hopefully, finishing up a game we've been waiting for a while.
Yeah. Well, didn't IDOS make most of this game? Wasn't like Crystal they just consulted with? I think IDOS Montreal made the third one.
Oh, I'm not sure actually. I think you're right though.
Mm-hmm.
So you played an original Xbox game. It's weird. I played an original Xbox game in the last month. I played 2005's Star Wars Battlefront 2. That's a quick campaign. It's a fun story. So I jumped through that recently. What do we go to Jeff next? What have you been playing recently?
Would you believe I'm playing another Fire Emblem game?
No.
I would believe you. I do believe you. Look at this
bad boy.
We're dusting off. Yeah, we're going last gen here.
This is 2 gens ago. This is the Wii game.
We don't count Wii U as a gen.
Okay, that's fair. I see what you're going with that. That's fair. Couple interesting things about this one, Josiah. You might remember when we went on our senior trip in high school to New York City. We stopped in at the Nintendo World Store one night. This was the game I bought from there.
I didn't know that. Okay, I think you bought something.
Yep, this was the one I bought.
Sidebar, I love that store so much. I spend hours there.
Isn't it? It's so cool. That store is amazing.
I go to New York once a year to see baseball games, and I seriously like put aside like 2.5 hours to spend at that store. I just love it. It's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I could spend a whole day in there. It's so cool. Yeah. But the other cool thing about this game is that I'm just so thankful to have a physical copy now, because this is a bit of a collector's item. This was before Fire Emblem was selling in the millions of copies per game. This maybe sold about 400 to 500,000 copies. So if you want to buy a pre-owned copy of this, it's going to run you between $70 to $80. If you want to buy it sealed, it's going for over $100.
Wow.
12-year-old Wii game for that much. And hold on, it gets even crazier. This was a sequel to a Fire Emblem from GameCube, which was called Path of Radiance. Path of Radiance sold more than Radiant Dawn, but for whatever reason, probably just because the GameCube was an older system, more copies have been lost over time. If you want to buy a pre-owned copy of Path of Radiance, it's between $100 to $200, and sealed it goes for as high as $700. So if you want
to get your hands on a copy of Tony Hawk's Underground, you can get it for $4.99 on eBay right now.
Right, it's absolutely nuts how collectible
a mile away.
those old Fire games are.
Pavlok, that's really special, honestly, for a number of reasons. We had a blast. We went to high school together. That's how Jeff and I met. But we went to our senior trip to New York City. We had a blast in those few days, and it was special. Good times. Anything else you've been playing?
Otherwise, and I apologize in advance for the really bad pun, I've kind of found my groove in Rhythm Heaven Megamix for 3DS.
What was that?
I talked about it on our
Rhythm
Heaven Megamix.
That sounds fun to say.
It is. I talked about it on our last episode, how I was good at the games that were based more so around visual cues, but I had a lot of trouble with the ones that were based more so around like the audio cues. Glad to say I've gotten significantly better at those. I'm just kind of following the beat better. I can listen for the audio prompts a little bit more. So I've gotten better at that. It's a really, really fun game. If you've got the few bucks and you can jump on the 3DS eShop, I definitely recommend it.
Every time I go to Nintendo World, I try to buy a new Luigi.
I was wondering what you stood up for.
I have Power Gust Luigi.
Yes,
Poltergust.
Polter Power. I get them confused. I've got my White Luigi. Got Squirrel Man Luigi, and I've got.
I would say that was Fireflower Luigi.
I've got regular Luigi.
He doesn't know anything.
It's a Squirrel Luigi. Squirrel.
No. The white Luigi is Fireflower Luigi. That's what he turns into when he gets the Fireflower.
Jeff, fire is red. Don't be silly.
Well, the game would disagree with you intensely.
I like Luigi.
The game would disagree with you intensely, he says. Yeah, I thought John just had to go to the bathroom. He was just gone. I looked up.
I got props.
So, guys, is this
pretty quick?
Is this how this works? I've got my copy too here. Probably.
Is it worth $700 though?
Probably $7.99.
I'm on eBay right now. I'll find out for you. My copy of that game was a dual disc with something else that I got with my original Xbox. I wonder what that was. I'll find that information too. I'll get us everything.
Yeah, please do. Rashawn, have you been playing any retro games? What have you been playing in general?
I'm sorry to disappoint crew and everybody. I have not been playing any retro games. If I'm being 100% honest, if you want to know what's in my system, Dust. That is what's in my system. I haven't been playing anything. Now, what I will say to make up for this, what will be in my system in 3 hours, Xenoblade Definitive Edition. So at the time of recording, we are 3 hours from the release of that. I just pre-ordered it actually before we hopped on here, so it's pre-downloading on my Switch right now. So that is what I will be diving into for the first time. Again, I'm a JRPG guy, but I never touched Xenoblade when it first came out.
Hope you got 150 hours to spare.
Jeff, he'll finish it by tomorrow.
That's a big game.
Wow.
I'll be honest. I haven't been. Now, again, keep everyone, viewers know this at this point. I dove headfirst into Persona 5 Royal and Final Fantasy 7. So those took a lot of my my gaming energy, if you will. So I've been spending definitely the last week, but more so the last couple weeks, just really recouping because I knew this game was on the calendar. And as Jeff talked about, I know it's going to be a huge time investment. So I purposely haven't gotten into anything else. Jeff will love this, but I've dabbled a little bit more in the Three Houses because I do want to get to a point where I officially start my next story. I was dabbling in the DLC with that. I'm just about done with it. So anything I've been diving into is small like that, just like little DLCs and stuff like that. Nothing really big to talk about though. But yeah, Xenoblade is going to be the next adventure I go on. It looks beautiful. all the gameplay, everything I'm seeing. I think some of the reviews that came out are pretty solid for it. I actually, and the cool thing is, again, this is their time to make a fan out of me, because I have Xenoblade 2 sitting right here. I'm looking at it right now. But I never played it, only because at the time it came out, I think for me personally, it was a bad release. I think there was some other stuff coming out. It was one of those things I just bought it and never played it. And again, I knew it was a huge thing to get into. So, if I end up loving Xenoblade Definitive Edition, that'll be a nice segue for me. Maybe not right away because the games are so big, but I can jump right into 2 and experience the series that I keep hearing about.
Yeah, Xenoblade 2 came out in December of 2017, so just the month alone was a little troublesome. But just that first year for the Switch was so bustling. You had Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, ARMS, Mario Odyssey was just a couple of months before Xenoblade 2. So, I mean, to find 100, 150 hours for a huge JRPG like that was tough for a lot of people. Still went on to sell a lot, though. I think it sold just under 2 million copies, which was far and away the most for that series at the time.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be, I think this is going to be a good time.
So I've been diving back into the other AC, formerly known as Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Origins.
I thought it was Animal Crossing. Sorry. Got excited.
No.
That's why he said the other AC.
Yeah, Animal Crossing is the AC these days.
Gotcha.
So this is the first week I didn't buy turnips in Animal Crossing, if that says anything. Wife is, still plugging away. However, not Origins. I meant Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm about 16 hours into that. That is the game that I've kind of cemented as, all right, this is the last game I want to knock off my list before Last of Us Part 2 comes out in just a few weeks' time. I want to clear the kind of gaming plate, because right after that, it's also Ghost of Tsushima, which I am very excited about after seeing that 18-minute gameplay from Sony just a few weeks back. Goodness gracious. I was pretty confident I was going to get the game. Now it's a sure thing for me. So, it's going to be a really nice swan song, if you will, for the PlayStation 4 with these last 2 releases. Also of note, The Last of Us embargo goes, it expires June 12th.
Yep.
So that's a solid week before the game.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And a lot of times that is, when you see an embargo that early,
It's a flex.
Exactly. That is the developer saying, or publisher saying, yeah, this game's going to do well.
Yeah.
So that's good. But with regards to Assassin's Creed, I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. I've played a lot of games throughout the years in the franchise and enjoyed them to different degrees. I did not like Origins. It's well documented on this show that I do not care for Origins.
It's very well documented.
Felt grindy. It was not for me. I finished it. Odyssey is a much more refined version of that game. They took what worked, got rid of a lot of what didn't, and really made it better. The story is interesting.
Are you playing as Cassandra?
Yep.
Good. Right. You made the right decision.
I was just going to say,
Yep.
Cassandra she was clearing away the choice from everything I had always seen and heard on the game. And the gameplay in terms of combat is much better. It's a little bit bizarre for what you would feel for a kind of a stealth game like that.
Yes.
But like your attack buttons are your right bumper and your right trigger button on the Xbox control. Typically, a game, think of like Jedi Fallen Order, you're pressing some of the face buttons to do different attacks. So all of that, plus the leveling up, is much more balanced. Granted, like I said, I'm about 15, 16 hours into this game, so I've got a ways to go. I think it's about a 40-hour completion, but it's not killing me to level up my character. Like, I can do a few side missions and get to where I have to go to get to the recommended level for the next story mission. So I gotta say, if Origins held you back, don't let it. Odyssey is definitely a game worth diving into. If you're watching this in time, I'm pretty sure Best Buy has it on sale for like $14 on PS4 and Xbox One. So definitely worth picking up, especially if you've been a long time Assassin's Creed fan.
So Joe, real quick, I want to jump in on that only because, as you guys know, and some people that may watch this, I did start for one night. I started Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now I take the opposite approach as Joe. I loved Origins. I think part of it is I'm very particular about the settings. Again, I'm a big history guy, so I love, Egypt is one of the places I would love to on my bucket list, and just, even studying that way back in school always interested me. So I think I was able to get behind the setting. And then for me, from what I remember, the story was somewhat interesting. I don't remember it being fantastic or anything, but I remember it being okay to play through. And for me, when Odyssey first got announced, I'm like, man, I kind of I always got the names mixed up. They picked 2 O's to start with. But then I'm like, this just looks like a more refined Origins. And from playing the little bit that I did, I 100% agree with you, Joe. It's definitely a more refined. I guess the trap for me is that I wish I didn't start it, because now it's on the back burner. I'm only 3 hours in, so it's not a big deal. Because I started, I'm like, I know dang well I'm going to play Xenoblade in a few weeks, and there's no way I'm balancing those games. Just balancing Xenoblade and Last of Us will probably be a little bit easier. Then I'll play Ghosts in July, and then I think once I'm done with Ghosts, I think that'll be prime time for me to sync anytime I want in Odyssey, just because there's going to be obviously a huge gap there with releases.
Yeah, I think with Origins, I liked the setting a lot. Like, it was pretty freaking awesome to be able to climb pyramids and explore some of those tombs. But for me, the problem with the story falling short, is it has with a lot of Assassin's games, is it was almost too little too late. Like, this is supposed to be the origins of the Order of the Assassins, and to me, without getting into spoiler territory, kind of fell flat. Like, it felt like they didn't even think about it until the very end game.
I agree with that.
For me, story is a really, really important element in a lot of games that I enjoy. So that's where I was. And I know most people liked Origins. They really reviewed it well. Most outlets did. It sold well. Assassin's Creed always does. So I was happy they took a break after Odyssey. We'll see what we get with this year's game with some of the footage, or cinematics, I should say, that we've seen so far. But definitely enjoying Odyssey. The only other thing I wanted to mention is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I did return to, and I 100%ed it, which for me is a big deal. That doesn't happen very often. Rashawn, you'll also appreciate this. I got all the achievements. There's no equivalent, really.
I saw that. I was waiting to celebrate on the show today.
Well, thank you. There's no real equivalent on the Xbox for a platinum, but I got all the achievements. Yeah, so I am very happy that I got the last achievement on Jedi Fallen Order, because it doesn't happen very often for me, unlike Mr. Platinum King over there. So,
listen, I taught you well, man. I'm glad that you're taking my lessons to heart.
Listen, I've got the beard of a master, but I've got the gaming play of a Padawan, so I'm getting there. We're getting there. So we haven't done this yet this month. It's the last episode that we're doing in May, but honoring the past. So we want to talk about games that came out 10 and 20 years prior, just to kind of reminisce a little bit, speak to some games that we played as kids. So we're going to look at May of 2000 and May 2010. Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you, because I know there's a game or two that you might want to mention from May 2000.
Perfect Dark, one of the last big N64 games, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the very last game made by Rare for Nintendo, because it wasn't too long after that they got acquired by Microsoft. I could be wrong on some of the dates there, but I think that was one of their very last, or at least for that generation. Maybe they did yeah, you know what? They did Star Fox Adventures on GameCube, if I'm not mistaken now. But like I said, one of the last big games on N64, and that was a game that pushed the N64 to its limits. To play the majority of the game, you had to have the expansion pack. Without it, I don't even think you could play multiplayer. You could just play a couple single-player modes. One of the few N64 games that had full voice acting. That was a rarity back then, because N60... yeah, you're right. I just realized I did that.
The pun was perfect.
But yeah... I got puns that I know I'm doing and puns that I don't know I'm doing. But I was, spiritual successor to GoldenEye, so it was just fun in that regard, because I love GoldenEye as a kid. That's one of my all-time favorite first-person shooters, and that was back in an era where first-person shooters were really still kind of getting their feet under them for home consoles. This was before Halo Combat Evolved really changed the game. See, there's another one.
There you go.
But I'm done. I really can't. Move on.
Jeff, you would be perfect on Dadcast with all these dad jokes and puns.
I'm embarrassed of myself, but
no, embrace it. You know, just have a kid and then you can be on the show. It's good.
It's easy.
John, we talked about that. We'll explain how that works. Any other games that we want to mention for May 2000? I think we're good.
Nothing for me. That really, but wait, man, you did say Red Dead originally came out
2010.
Oh, whoa.
You skipped a decade.
Listen, I'm a time traveler. That's explains a lot.
So now we fast forward to May 2010, a game called Red Dead Redemption. I couldn't even hold it up. Sorry. Yeah. So May 2010, we got some pretty nice titles here and there throughout the month, but what blows my mind, because I did not look at this really until just before the show, is May 18th, we didn't only get Red Dead Redemption on Xbox 360 and PS3. We got Alan Wake on Xbox 360, which is one of my favorite video games ever. Like, if I had to come up with a top 10 list of just my personal favorites, I think that game would be on there. So kind of a big day there. Yeah. Red Dead, obviously, was a very anticipated game. It's funny because at that point, I had only dabbled in Grand Theft Auto. Like, I never really got into it until GTA 5 a few years after that. But Red Dead, I was like, that's a game that I want, and I'm getting it day one, and I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Really? Was that pretty anticipated? Because I remember Red Dead Revolver didn't really make a huge splash. So was this, like, as a sequel to that, pretty anticipated? I don't remember it being...
I thought it was really anticipated, but what's funny is I don't remember it as a sequel. Obviously it is a sequel, but what I'm saying is, like, it was like, oh, here's this whole new game that I didn't know about previously, or this new IP. And I feel like a lot of people probably felt that way, but I talked with so many people that were like, oh my gosh, that is a game I'm getting. And for myself, I've always been a gamer, but not to the degree that I am nowadays, where I feel like I play every major release and then some. But then it was only maybe my favorites, like your annual sports game, like an NHL or any Star Wars or Batman game. But Red Dead Redemption was one that I was like, I'm going to get that game. And I did, and I really enjoyed it. And Alan Wake, I didn't play right away. I played probably a year or two later, but I remember just adoring the atmosphere and the absolutely incredible writing. I'm sure that game doesn't hold up very well if I were to go play it today, because it was a touch clunky even back then, but I would truly love a full Alan Wake remaster. And Remedy's got the rights to that. They are not under obligation with Microsoft anymore, so that can come to any system. I'd love to really get that on Switch, but hey, I'd take it anywhere. So going through the month, anything come to mind? I know, Rashawn, we kind of cut you off before. Did you want to talk about Red Dead?
Nothing crazy. Just shout out to Red Dead. Obviously that's one of the classics of last generation. That game is responsible for teaching me how to play poker. Man, I took so many virtual game characters' money back then, man. Listen, Joe, I was a bad man back in the day in the old West. But
not you.
What's in there? Texas Hold'em 5 card.
Hey, listen, man.
You're pretty sure?
Yeah,
right?
they had I believe it was Hold'em. I can't remember if there was anything else.
Yeah, guys, Pavlak, if you didn't know, is a big poker guy.
Back in my day. No, it's been a while since I've played.
I remember him messaging me on AIM to come over and play poker. If that tells you how far back we got. Yeah,
I did host a lot of poker games in my day.
As did I, Mr. Pavlak. As did I.
I think you guys need to play via Red Dead Redemption. Apparently,
I've actually played a couple of poker matches during this quarantine on like a free PS4 game with a couple of my buddies, because we do poker nights every once in a while. What is it called? It's called Prominence Poker is what it's called, and it's made by 505 Games. It's like
cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
It's a free poker game, and we just Venmo each other money for whoever wins. We're playing for real cash, but we just do it through this free game, and that's been our way to socially distance and play poker.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Perfect.
Yep.
Going through the month here, I'm just going to go right back to the beginning. May 4th, we got an Iron Man 2 video game. I feel like if any of us played it, it'd be Rashawn.
Yes, I did play. Yeah, I played the Iron Man 2 video game. That was the last Marvel MCU movie tie-in game I played.
I thought they did a Thor game and a Captain America game.
They did. They stopped at they didn't go to Avengers. So Captain America was the last one.
We're getting Avengers this year. It just took a while.
I was just going to say, finally we're getting it, all these years later. So Rashawn, one of the Iron Man games was like, I wouldn't say it was revered, but for like a movie tie-in game, like it was respected. I don't know if it was the first one or this one. I don't recall.
For me, if I'm recalling what I liked more, I think it was the first one.
I think so too.
I could be wrong though. I definitely could be.
I definitely downloaded the demo for one of them on my 360, and I was just like, "Oh gosh, this is clunky." But
Speaking of Iron Man video games, did anyone see the PlayStation VR decal you can get for the Iron Man VR game that's coming out? So if you follow Greg Miller from Kind of Funny on Instagram, he has a picture of him. I'm assuming he's playing Iron Man VR, which is coming out soon. But his PSVR is skinned to look like Iron Man, and it looks really cool, actually.
Awesome. Guys, I'm so quick tangent here. What like VR, has that hit home for anybody? Like, because I feel at this point, I don't want to spend the money to buy PS4 or PSVR. But there's like a lot of little games that I want. I wouldn't necessarily say Iron Man VR is a little game, but like that's one. Yeah. I would love to play Vader Immortal, like all of the, obviously being a Star Wars guy, even little stuff like the Batman Arkham, they did like a VR thing, and then they did a mission or two for Star Wars Battlefront. Like not enough to sell a system, but like I wish I could get a nice bundle on it. Maybe that's like a Black Friday thing.
Yeah,
but like
for me, VR it does, yeah. So I'm a VR believer, but it came too late in the life cycle for me to want to buy in terms of PlayStation VR. If I were to like invest in VR, I would probably invest on the PC end. I feel like most of the cool VR experiences come on like Oculus and things like that. If not just because the PSVR is so underpowered comparatively. So it's going to be really cool to see what PS5 does in support. I wonder if they launch a PSVR 2 or just a souped up PSVR with the PlayStation 5. That's going to be really interesting. It's been doing pretty well for them. It's not like it's taken a loss. It's not like they've supported it well enough. They've treated it like a new platform. The software has kind of been there, kind of been hit or miss a little bit. It's been interesting for me, but I haven't had enough of a reason to invest, and the fact that it's so late in the generation, I'm just like, we'll see.
That's a problem for me. Like I can't justify spending $350 on a bundle for it with Iron Man. Like I need it to be like 150 or 200 at most.
Exactly.
I think
the one that's gotten me close is the Oculus Quest. The Quest is the one that's like fully wireless, and it just runs by itself. It plays a couple of smaller titles. I'd love to play like Beat Saber on there. Like Beat Saber's tons of fun. Yeah. But you can also get like the Oculus like link cable and hook it up to your PC and make your Oculus Quest a legit Oculus, and you can play games like Half-Life, Alyx, and stuff like that. But that's an investment. And ain't ready for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, especially with the new Xbox and PlayStation coming later this year. I know I have to save.
Yeah, Xbox, speaking of that, Xbox announced VR support for Xbox One X when they first debuted that console. And their sizzle reel when they announced the Xbox One X at E3 that one year, they're like, fully VR ready. Never saw that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's fine, I guess. We'll see where it goes as we get into the next gen.
Yeah.
Skate 3, a notable title because we've got another Skate game in the form of Tony Hawk, right? Being re-released here later this year. I never played any of the Skate series. I don't know if John, you'd probably be the guy here. I
actually didn't. Yeah, it was like a thing where, and I know I played a couple of the Skate demos. That was a big thing back then. Like Xbox Live, I had demos for almost every game. And like I'd kind of fallen out of the skateboarding thing. I think I'd just been burned on too many of the recent Tony Hawk games. I understood that Skate was like a much more technical game, and for all intents and purposes, probably a better game. I just never grabbed me more than just a demo. So I know people love it, and I know people are clamoring for Skate 4, and if they make a Skate 4, I'm probably back in. So.
So guys, I'm really sorry, but I forgot to mention May 18th. In addition to Alan Wake and Red Dead, we also got Shrek Forever After.
Banger. Big fan.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, we had May 23rd, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Pavlok?
Never heard of it.
Big game. Big game that a lot of people did not expect, because before then you had never seen two 3D Marios for one generation of consoles.
Yeah.
It was always one and done with those. But they had so many ideas at Nintendo that went unused in the original Mario Galaxy that they said, hey, we can expand upon this and make a whole new game. I still don't think it's as good as the first one. There are some people that disagree with me on that. I've actually seen a lot of people who say that the second one is superior. But it's still a great game, regardless of what you feel between the two. It is significantly harder than the first one. I will say that. One of the biggest challenges in the game is finding all 120 green stars. So after you beat the game and grab all 120 original ones, you can go through every level again and find a hidden green star, some of which are just fiendishly hard to get. And then once you get all of those, there's a super secret level that is crazy long, basically combines every platforming concept from the entire game into there. No checkpoints throughout this. So if you die in the very middle of it, you're just going to have to go back to the start, and believe me, you will die a lot in it. It is one of the hardest Mario levels ever.
Do you think that it seems so much harder because by 2010 nobody had a reason to use their Wii in 3 years, so they didn't really remember how to use the nunchucks?
No, it's the platforming is significantly more elaborate and difficult.
Just had to take my.
I was playing the Wii all the time back then. It was just as hard.
Just joshing you.
He does that, man. He hooks you. He reels you right in, you know.
Yeah, like genuine question. Something that sounds genuine. You're like, wait a minute.
He's so good at it. Like
I knew what he was doing.
He got me so good on our Star Wars hindsight show. So we going into week 2. So we did Attack of the Clones, and he's like, I gotta apologize. And I thought he was talking about his Vader comment on how he didn't like Darth Vader that he said in episode 1. And he's like, I found a movie that was worse than Star Wars episode 1, as I was about to applaud, and I just got totally shook at that point. I was like, what?
That's a great clip. Yeah, that was a good clip.
You gotta look out for him, guys. Baba Yaga over here.
Sneaky.
It's very sneaky. Any other titles here for the rest of the month that we wanted to mention? I'm good from here on out.
Same.
I'm good.
Cool. So a really good month. Big releases, big name releases as well. We'd love to hear if you played anything that we did or didn't mention here. Leave it in the comments below on any of our social media that we're putting this link to. So, getting to the news here, just before we get to what would have been our E3 2020 predictions and analysis, pre-analysis, if you will, we've got 4 news items we kind of want to rifle through. First off on the list, John, we're going to get to what we think is going to be possibly a PlayStation 5 reveal in just a few days' time. So next week, we're looking at June 3rd. But where did this stem from?
So I don't know where it originally stemmed from, but where I saw it pop up and where I took some merit for me is when Jason Schreier first tweeted it out. He had referenced somebody else, so it came from somebody else to begin with. But at this point, I'm not sure if I buy it anymore. I mean, it's the 28th right now. We're looking less than a week turnaround time between announcement and show. So I don't know. Sony needs to show us something about the PS5 soon. We're not sure if we're going to get a big blowout event, but that's what the rumor is, June 3rd, and it seemed to come from some pretty credible sources. I did see a couple of people say, like, if not 3rd, here's like a second date. It could be something like that. I don't have that date, but some pretty credible people say we could be getting a big blowout event, so exciting if it happens.
Yeah, very exciting for sure. If it does happen, there's a good chance we'll be doing a special edition episode of Geeks Got Game that night to kind of react, bring you some more of the news. So stay tuned. Second on the list, we got the PS Plus games for June. So we've known for a few days that one of the games was coming in the form of Call of Duty World War II. That is a game, I gotta say, it felt like one of the most unique Call of Duties in years.
I liked it a lot.
I enjoyed the campaign a lot. I thought it was a really nice story, especially for a Call of Duty game. And I played a lot of it online, but not as much as my dad. I got to say, shout out to my dad. I always bring him up on these shows. Call of Duty is one of his staples he gets every year. We typically will buy it and share it. Some years it's so crazy we get 2 copies so we can play on our respective Xboxes. He played a lot of this game online, and anytime I would go over and visit, I'd always jump on for a few rounds. So fond memories there, but I got to say one of the better Call of Duties I think in recent times. Not that any of them have been bad per se.
Your dad is one of my favorite people ever. Dave is way up on my list.
Me too, I gotta say. Yeah.
I would hope so.
So yeah, he's if you didn't know, by the way, we released Animal Crossing poetry, of kind of a funny video on our YouTube page. He's the guy that plays the flute in the intro. And what's funny is Pete texted me and goes, "Who's the rando guy that was playing flute in the beginning of the video?" I'm like, "It's my dad." So we dubbed him Cool Dave. Yeah. The other game that's coming to PS Plus in June, Star Wars Battlefront 2. The most recent Star Wars Battlefront 2. Perfect time to jump into this game. Definitely can't recommend it enough for free content, especially. Go through the campaign. It's relatively short. If you like Star Wars, if you like the fanfare that we've seen in the sequel trilogy, you'll really enjoy this story. And then the online. You can play through any of the eras, the Clone Wars, the original trilogy, the sequel trilogy. It's a very deep game that really has evolved since 2017 when it released. If you were one of the people who did not want to support the game because of the microtransactions and the bad PR surrounding the release, I do encourage you to take a chance and download this now. It's a lot of fun, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. So they just released in December the Celebration Edition of the game, which will give you basically all of the character outfits and upgrades. It's all cosmetic, no advantages in the game. That's for free. That is not what is going to be included with this, but it is still a lot of gameplay.
Do you know how much that upgrade is? Is it like
if you own the game?
Yeah, so everyone's going to get it for free in June here. What would it cost to upgrade to that version? Do you
know? I don't. I got it on sale for Star Wars Day, and it was like maybe $10.
The upgrade.
I would say it's probably, I think it's 20.
Okay.
So, it depends how many games you play and what your budget looks like. 20 is the most I'd spend on it. It would, I wouldn't go past that. You may not need to for a long time because there's a lot of content, like I said.
Sure.
Let's see here. What else do we got on the dockets? Jeff, we're gonna come to you next. You had brought this up. There's kind of an interesting project regarding the original iteration of Xbox Live.
Yeah, kind of ironic that I'm the one leading this news report on an Xbox thing, but
it's the Bizarro episode.
Such is life. There is a really cool fan project going on right now to recreate the infrastructure for Xbox Live with the original Xbox. This was reported by Kotaku. The project originates from the original Xbox subreddit. It's being led by someone with the screen name Soulless Sentinel. His real name is Luke Usher, and he's basically trying to recreate that online infrastructure so that you can play original Xbox games online as if Xbox Live had never shut down, which I believe it shut down in April 2010, I think it was.
I'm not sure on that.
Confirm, but yeah, been gone a long time. So this will be cool to bring that back. Just reading it from the actual article, I can tell you this much. Insignia will work with normal unmodded consoles provided the user can perform a one-time process to retrieve their unit's internal encryption keys. Long-existing Xbox soft mod techniques, which require physical copies of exploitable games like Splinter Cell or Mech Assault, but do not necessarily alter their console's hardware or operating system, should suffice for accomplishing this key retrieval. So you don't necessarily need to do this on like your PC or a modded Xbox console, which I think is still what's going to be the majority of use from it. So as long as you can get through that, there's still ways to do it, even with just the original, completely untouched Xbox system.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool. And Pav, like you mentioned, you liked just the general thought of video game restoration in projects such as this.
Yeah, I mean, video games are an art form, and I think it's extremely important to preserve them. We were just talking earlier this episode how a couple Fire Emblem games from 12, 15 years ago, if you want to buy them just pre-owned now, you're spending hundreds of dollars on them. So I think it's really important to save these games so that they're not lost to history and so that people who weren't so fortunate to play them the first time around get a chance to play them now. Especially as we go on, I mean, we're going to have younger gamers who weren't even alive back then for some of these games, never even had the opportunity to play them.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about because video games are the one form of like art or media that you really need to put that kind of work in. I mean, compatibility is a real issue. You can't just pop in these games on these new consoles, whereas like you're never going to lose a movie. I mean, those formats are going to exist digitally, and music is the same way. So it's very interesting to see a lot of these projects. I'm on board with this for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
exciting.
there was for the longest time, the reason why Sony didn't do or I should say Square didn't do a remaster of Final Fantasy VIII was because Square lost a lot of the original coding to the Final Fantasy VIII release from the original PlayStation.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, you would never see that in another entertainment medium.
Yeah, it's very true. And there's a lot to be said for nostalgia when it comes to pop culture, and especially video games, right? We buy the same remasters and remakes over time. We go back to our favorite games and play them. So there's a sweet spot for a lot of people that grew up with the original Xbox. And like you said, maybe even to a point where people never got to experience it for that first time around. So this is a nice way of preserving that, I think. It's a nice story. John, we're going to come to you for our final news point here. So IGN, entertainment mogul, one of the reasons our website exists at all, one of the inspirations for the Geekiverse. They've got a kind of a cool thing going on regarding video games this summer.
Yeah, so we've actually known about this for a little while. They've announced, I think we talked about it last episode, that they're doing the IGN Summer of Gaming. What the new news is that they finally put out the schedule. Maybe we didn't talk about it. I think it may have actually been announced in between, but we've known about it for about a week and a half. But the schedule is what just came out the other day. So if you go to IGN.com and you look at this, there are tons and tons of different events from June 5th until June 24th. They've got an awesome graphic just breaking down what they're doing. So if they're doing a game reveal, if they're doing like a showcase, they've got indie showcases, they've got all sorts of stuff, deep dives into games like Werewolf the Apocalypse, that's just on the first day. I encourage you to hop in and just take a look at these graphics, because there are literally like 50 things on each of these three graphics. There's a ton of stuff going on. It's cool to see something like this in lieu of E3. I think all of us here are missing that big show this year. We were just talking about before how we love reacting to this kind of stuff, love making these predictions. We love sitting through and just kind of seeing these awesome announcements. It's always been fun. I think it's video game tradition. So it's exciting to see IGN kind of take this and just do something, give us something, partner with these games. And even if it's not the monumental announcements like the Last of Us Part 3 coming out or something crazy, like we're going to see some new stuff, and we're going to see some deep dives and some games we're excited for. So definitely take a look at the schedule they posted for IGN Summer of Games.
What's crazy is The Last of Us Part 3 was announced and then simultaneously delayed.
Yep.
I'm sorry. So we're just a few weeks away from Last of Us Part 2. I cannot wait. I know we'll be talking a lot about that. But in regards to this, I think it's really nice that we're getting this. I feel like we're going to get some nice Nintendo Directs spread out throughout the summer. Microsoft and Sony, in the lead up to their consoles, we've been getting teasers here and there, little bits of videos and announcements. We got the PS5 tech demo with Unreal Engine 5. So though we're not getting E3, which is one of my favorite weeks of the entire year, this is a nice supplement. We're getting this Jeff Keighley with Summer Game Fest. Yeah. All of that, it's nice. We're getting it parceled throughout the summer, and some of the sadness I kind of feel over E3 not being here has been remedied by the fact that we're going to get what we're getting with these different iterations. So good times, and the Geekiverse is going to be there throughout all of it. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm glad this show went to a bi format. It's exciting times, guys. E3 is not happening, but our predictions are still alive. Let's talk about what we thought would be, some of our predictions for what we believe was reasonable to be announced at E3 2020. So, not like a Last of Us Part 3, for example. But that being said, this is typically our E3 predictions show. We'll have it annually. It's always a good time. Last year, Jeff and I had the pleasure of sitting down with Jeremy White of WGR 550. If you listen to any sports radio in Buffalo, New York, we did that last year. It was a good time. But this year, we're going to get to 2 or 3 predictions each, just kind of have a fun discussion around it. And honestly, I'd love to kind of jot these down. So if you guys can kind of send me this in the Discord afterwards, just a bullet point, I'd love to put it in the article, because every single year that Pavlak and I do this, we don't track it.
Oh.
And then we forget what things look like. So let's do that this year, I think. You guys want me to lead off?
Do it.
Yeah, what the heck? Why not?
Go right ahead.
Batman.
So, no. Shut up, John. My first one I'm actually going to go with on my list. I don't know how much I believe this, honestly, but I was going to make the prediction anyway.
Okay.
I felt, and honest, so EA related. You can tell where I'm going. They're still doing not a conference, but kind of their EA Play, but
EA
virtual,
Play, yeah.
right? So it could happen, but I would have predicted that we would have gotten some sort of tease on the long rumored either reboot or remake of Knights of the Old Republic for the next gen systems.
Oh, okay.
That was a pipe dream of mine. We had rumors of it, I think, in January that something was happening there, and if BioWare was involved, all the better. I like I said, I don't know if that's a pipe dream or not, but that would be high on my wish list.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Not Batman related. So,
yeah, I'll get behind that.
Not yet.
Damn it, John. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
We'll rotate.
Yeah. So mine is I think I've been saying this for what year is it? 2020. I've been saying this for like 8 years now. But we were going to finally see the new BioShock game. 2K's been working on it. We know that. We've known this for a fact since 2017, since Jason Schreier broke the story that I think he was doing a story about Mafia 3 and how it was going through some development woes, and he just kind of slipped in a little sentence about the secret team working next door on the unannounced and secretive BioShock title. So it's been in development for a while. I think we've had some confirmation that it may have been like scrapped and rebooted since then. There's been a lot of tidbits out there, but 2K still owns BioShock. Obviously, Irrational Games and Ken Levine not going to be involved anymore, but we're going to get something, and I at least trust them to give us something fun. I don't know if it'll be as good as BioShock or BioShock Infinite, but I love that world. I love the possibilities, and we know what's coming unless they fully scrapped it, but yeah. I think that would have been a story in itself, so maybe we still get it.
Oh, man. John, I think that's realistic. Sign me up. The real question is, are you going to be playing on your Switch
tomorrow? Yeah, I'm excited.
It's almost here.
Yep.
It's perfect for the Switch.
Everything's perfect for the Switch.
Though. Yeah. Jeff, let's go to you next.
I say to hell with subverting expectations. This is going to be one that you all expect to come out of my mouth. We would have seen the release date as well as some gameplay for Breath of the Wild 2.
I was gonna go to you and say, what Nintendo-based prediction do we have from Jeff?
Right.
Yeah, well, of course. Do you think
you all knew what was coming?
Since E3 is not a thing, do you think we won't get that now in terms of a direct? Do you think we'll still get a summer direct? I know we're not getting a June one, they said, but
right. I mean, in the case of Zelda, I think that's a franchise that can warrant its own direct. Like Nintendo could reasonably do a direct entirely dedicated to Zelda. Not every franchise can maybe justify that, but I think Zelda is definitely one. Yeah. So I could see them doing a 30-minute presentation strictly on Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah, I think Nintendo's in a really interesting spot here, whereas I think E3 being canceled this year for Sony and Microsoft is almost advantageous being on the heels of this console launch. Like, not only do they really not have much to show yet, obviously they're not going to be launching that many new games and that many new announcements for their current gen systems. But now the ball's in their court and they can kind of control that announcement. Nintendo's in that unique situation where they're all systems go on the Switch right now. So they have no reason to stop their announcements. They have no reason to skip that E3 timeline and not put out information. So I like that prediction because I think we have to see more about that game soon, and I hope we do.
It's been almost a year. It's been a rough year too, because I was really expecting to see something at the Game Awards in December, and then I was also expecting to see something in like their February direct. Usually they do a early in the year winter direct, which was, I think that was where they revealed Link's Awakening, that remake. So there was a precedent for Zelda being in there. I was convinced we were going to get something for Breath of the Wild 2 since last E3, and we've got nothing.
Jeff, I know you're not going to like this, and maybe John too. I don't think we get a release date if we get anything. I don't think we're there yet. I think at best you get a release window.
Yeah, maybe.
Just my prediction.
The only reason I'm inclined to agree is because Nintendo has played those release dates safe to the chest a lot with the Switch. They have not delayed much with the Switch. They have been really good about giving you a release date, whereas most companies will just kind of throw out their window and stamp a date on it and move it 2 or 3 times. Nintendo's been really good about giving you a close window and just hitting those dates. So if it's not coming out this year, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a date.
Yeah, I'm in the minority on a lot, and I don't think it's as close as people think, but again, time will tell. Jeff, you had another thought though.
We'll say two things on it. I still think it's very reasonable that we get it next spring for them to celebrate Legend of Zelda's 35th anniversary.
That's
and I truly believe we're going to get Zelda playable in some capacity in the game. I think it'll be a dual mechanic between her and Link.
Hope it's not multiplayer.
I think so.
I really don't think they would ever do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I hope it's not an option. I hope that's not the gimmick behind how Zelda is playable.
I can't see them messing with the formula that much.
Because it could be a fun option to have some co-op dungeons, but I hope that's not the only thing they're pushing.
Right. Maybe they do something like how Mario Galaxy, where one person controlled the
Cappy,
the IR sensor. Yeah. Well, no. Mario.
Galaxy.
I meant Galaxy. Sorry,
I misinterpreted. You said the right one.
Okay. But yeah, you control the IR sensor, and one person controlled Mario, the other person just kind of waved it around on the screen to collect star bits and attack enemies, things like that. Maybe something like that, but I don't see them messing with the formula too much. Zelda is such a revered franchise, and Nintendo is going to be extremely careful with it.
Agreed.
Rashawn, what do we got? What prediction?
For me, so I'll start with the one that I've been very vocal about on social media. That I know this is coming. This isn't I predict. No, I know for sure that this would have been announced. This was my prediction.
Oh God,
we would have gotten the next installment in the Kingdom Hearts franchise.
Ooh,
let me explain. So
my first thought was get out of town, but now I'm like, okay, no, I'm listening.
Let me explain, because then you got some of you got people like these two guys up here. Like, oh God, yeah, sure. You're gonna have grandkids by the time the next one comes out. Here's the thing. Kingdom Hearts 3 it's done. The game has come out. It's released. It's over. The DLC came out this past January. That's done. Hands are officially no longer tied for Square. So some reasoning behind this prediction is Square has been very hard at work, and I think for Kingdom Hearts fans, we have a lot to be excited about. We're about to get a flood of content. I'm gonna get the orders here a little mixed up because a lot of interviews Tetsuya Nomura was doing was kind of all over the place. But for my Kingdom Hearts fans out there, we know we're getting the new mobile game Dark Road. It was supposed to be spring of this year, but they did come out and say that has been delayed due to circumstances. The game that's going to be focused around young Xehanort and young Ericus, around their origins. Sorry for you guys. I'm going to be speaking Greek to you guys. So, so we know we're getting a new mobile game. More news is to come to that on that front in June. Tetsuya Nomura also mentioned that back at the DLC's release, Remind, that the next Kingdom Hearts game is coming sooner than you think. I'm going to elaborate more on that in a second. And that it would be centered around the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC title screen. That title screen has Sora and Kairi on there. Without giving too much away from Kingdom Hearts 3 for those that still haven't finished it, we know that if you use process of elimination, that has to focus around Kairi. So we're getting, I believe, in some capacity, a game focused around Kairi as the next Kingdom Hearts installment to bridge between 4, however many bridge titles they're going to have. And Nomura also mentioned there's at least going to be 1 bridge title before Kingdom Hearts 4. I would suspect 2, but obviously that will remain to see on that. Now, the reason why I really think we would have gotten that announcement and the release date would have been for spring 2021 is because I really lean on that sooner than you think comment. I think worst case scenario, it would have been fall or holiday of 2021, just because they have a lot more teams working on Kingdom Hearts now. I think there is 3 or 4 teams now. There's the main team that's working on Kingdom Hearts 4. They're probably just doing concept at that point. There is the Union Cross team, which is they're responsible for the 2 mobile games. And I can't remember if there's 1 or 2. I think there's 2 developers that are working on bridge titles. And one of them I think they've had in place for a while. They just wanted to keep that hush hush. So that was my prediction. And I still stand by it to a way. I think we get the announcement this year. But I think at this point, the game won't come out until somewhere in 2022. It would have to come out in 2022 because the big rumor is that Final Fantasy VII Remake that Nomura also oversees or helps oversee with that. He's mainly in charge of Kingdom Hearts and he helps with Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's supposed to be 2023, and we're definitely getting whatever this bridge title is before the next part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I don't see any world where that the next Kingdom Hearts game, we have 2 Final Fantasy games basically before the next Kingdom Hearts. I don't see a world where that exists. So long-winded, but I think there's a lot of credibility there. Again, Kingdom Hearts fans will co-sign or whatnot. Anyone else like these gentlemen here, I'm speaking Greek. So yeah.
Well, I beat the game and I still think you're speaking Greek, but is your prediction that we'll get an announcement for a new Kingdom Hearts game or Kingdom Hearts 4 specifically?
No, we're not. Sorry. Nomura basically already, he said it without saying it. Don't even ask for 4 right now. It's okay. He said it's going to take a long time for the next main installment, which would be 4. My prediction is solely on this bridge game. Gonna be focused on Kyrie based on taking his quotes and then just translating it. It would take place around her in some degree. Some people assume it'd be a Kyrie and Riku game to kind of simulate a Dream Drop Distance type of vibe. That's on the table too. But the core of my prediction is this year announcement, next year release date. But now with current events, I still would say announcement this year, maybe Tokyo Game Show later this year, and then release date early 2022, because at that point you are 3 years removed from the release of Kingdom Hearts 3. And one last thing I'll say on this long-winded prediction is that for those people who think that Square just doesn't put out Kingdom Hearts content, you are factually wrong. If you look every single year since 2009, the only exception is 2016, there has been some game, some release, some new content for the series that has come out. So this notion that when people say Kingdom Hearts and it's like that won't be that's if you're looking at history, that's actually not wrong. Now I get that the big debacle was it took them forever for Kingdom Hearts 3. But again, the reasonings behind that we can get into another time. They just had to restart the game because they switched engines. But if worst case scenario, if the game does not come out next year, I would assume maybe that's where we slide in this rumored Kingdom Hearts Disney Plus series. They would drop that next year instead, to give them more time to finish this game. But I think we're gonna have a lot of content here. This year, they also got into the manga, so there's Kingdom Hearts manga now. Again, there's heavy rumors of the Kingdom Hearts Disney Plus series. There's 3 or 4 Kingdom Hearts teams. There's a lot to look forward to as Kingdom Hearts fans, and that's where my prediction stands.
John, did you watch all of Captain America during that?
I was pulling it up. It was buffering.
It's bold, Rashawn. I like it.
Diehard Kingdom Hearts fans will understand the context I put in. For, of course, the casual fans or people who who are not in depth. Again, I spoke a different language, but then you also think I'm crazy. But if you add up a lot of the evidence that Nomura has been giving us, as long as things can just get to normal, we'll have a new game shortly.
So my second prediction, not Batman related.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Well, kinda. Rocksteady, what are you working on? Okay, so this is a prediction every single year. Every single year. Pavlek said Pavlek's swindling there. Okay. So
just doing a little stuff.
Okay.
He's trying to look up the Kingdom Hearts timeline. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, don't. So Rocksteady, I will make this prediction every year until it happens, and this was gonna be the year. I'm not gonna say we know that we were gonna, from reports, hear about finally what Rocksteady was working on. So I'm not gonna take that because that's too easy. The prediction is going to be that Rocksteady's game that they've been working on forever is actually a new IP.
Ooh.
It's not one based on Superman. DC, an Arkham spinoff, anything like that. We've heard many things over the years.
Interesting.
I believe it's a brand new IP. Yeah. So Rocksteady, one of my favorite studios because they made some of my favorite games ever in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. Been a long time. Arkham Knight was 5 years ago.
I wonder if WB would even let them come close to a new IP.
Well, that's my prediction. It's going to happen. Don't you worry, Johnny boy. It's going to happen.
We'll see.
I think either way, we're going to hear about it this summer still. Because WB, it pains me. They were going to do a press conference of some sort at E3 this year. It would have been great. They were going to talk about Harry Potter and Rocksteady.
Oh my God,
and
that Harry Potter game.
Other, they're probably Lego Star Wars and a few other things. So I'm a little upset that we're not getting that because I would have eaten all of that up. But yeah, that's my prediction. John, you got a second prediction from you?
Oh, yeah. Kingdom Hearts 4 announced and released this summer. Just like Rashawn said, it's about Kyrie Irving. It's about I got nothing. So
I thought the same thing. That's hysterical.
What makes it tough for me is that we knew Sony wasn't going to be at E3 this year again, even before all this stuff happened. And all my fun, like big banger predictions are all based on Sony IP. So,
fair enough. Jeff, do you have a second one?
Yeah, this one's a little more crazy. I think there was a possibility that Konami shambled out of its grave and announced a new Castlevania game, try and revive that franchise, mostly due to the success of the Netflix show, which has been very, very well received by fans and critics. So I think if there was ever a time for Konami to try and be relevant again, Castlevania would be the opportunity for them.
That's interesting. That's not one I would have anticipated even hearing about. So I like that.
Gotta have at least one crazy one.
Maybe two. Rashad, any other predictions from you?
Yeah, one more unless I come up with something else. But another game that I'm definitely anticipating that I hope we get something soon on. I think we would have gotten maybe a release date or maybe some gameplay of Elden Ring. They kind of dropped that on us. Was that last year? Was that the announcement? I think, yeah, because that was right after Sekiro, I think.
Yes.
No, I believe it was last year.
It was Xbox's show at E3 last year.
Yeah, because From Software normally they don't go multiple years of not. That generally doesn't happen with them. But yeah, man, I mean, coming from a guy who's a huge Souls fan, Dark Souls 1, one of my favorite games of all time. Sekiro, it wasn't my game of the year for 2019, but I'm not going to argue with anyone who says it is their game of the year. Huge fan of theirs. Elden Ring, we don't know much about it. We know they're going back to more fantastical roots in terms of the story setting and whatnot. So just interested to see what that would have been like. If I had to predict a release, again, I think that's another game that, due to everything, all these IGN and Summer Game Fest, I think we could probably still see this prediction come to fruition. So if that does happen, if we get more stuff this year, I would assume we'd have a release date for next year at some point. That would be 2 years removed from Sekiro. Throughout their history, you generally get a new Souls game on average every 2 to 3 years, if I'm getting the years correct, maybe 2.5. So that would fit in their traditional timeline. And they've had obviously a lot of time to work on it.
A lot of Bloodborne 2
that sounds right.
rumors out there too, though. A lot of people think there could be a Bloodborne 2 coming. It could be a PS5 launch title.
If they want to like get people to look like the head explode emoji, that's where you do Bloodborne 2 for sure. I don't think so, because from what I know about them and their history, they generally don't work on 2 Souls games at once. There probably is some exception where there was some overlap just due to natural development, but normally they try to focus on one. But hey, man, I'm all for Bloodborne 2.
That's my my prediction. You would have heard about 2 Blood, 2 Born this E3. That's it.
Yeah,
that's a bad. Okay, that was great until the joke.
Yeah, you could have saved that, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
And then I actually just thought of another prediction too, but I'll let you guys go through.
All right, so I got my third and final one here. Again, not Batman related. Sorry to let everybody down. Just kidding. It is about Batman. So,
listen. Before you go, I will make a bet with you on air right now. I know we're not live, so on air, but on this show right now, we will get And again, I'm a Batman fan. I love Batman. Favorite superhero for favorite games of all time. Or one of them. But with these Arkham games, the next Kingdom Hearts installment in terms of a console game will come out before any Batman Rocksteady game. I will make that bet right now. I don't know what we could bet. Whatever you want, I will make that bet.
I don't know if I take that bet because I don't know that Rocksteady's working on a Batman game.
WB Montreal, right?
Yeah. Yes. So what if the bet was that Kingdom Hearts, so you would bet Kingdom Hearts will have a release before the next Batman Arkham anything from any studio? I think because I'll take that bet.
I'm fully confident in this prediction.
I'm
not playing.
As a third party, I would remove the Arkham title from that because I think just any WB produced Batman game in the same vein as
all right. You know what? No, let's do this. The next Kingdom Hearts game, again, no mobile or no funny stuff. Just a straight up like, hey, this is going to be released on PS5, PS4, Switch, whatever. Will come out before AAA game. Yep, will release before anything Rocksteady's going to come out with. So whatever Rocksteady's next game is, the next Kingdom Hearts game will come out before whatever. I don't care what it is.
So whatever Rocksteady is working on, you predict that there will be a new Kingdom Hearts release before then.
Yes,
they do. You just said it yourself. They do a lot with Kingdom Hearts, whether it's these remixes, these 2.8s and whatever else they're working on that I don't understand.
Dream drop distance. It's a real game.
It is.
I don't know.
If you're smart and don't want to lose a bet, you keep talking and we forget this ever happened. But if you got some smart stuff,
all right, calm down, poker boy.
Yeah.
We'll circle around here because my bet, it was reported that we were going to hear finally about this mysteriously, oddly teased WB Montreal Batman game. So that's, again, a lazy prediction. What my prediction is, despite what's going on in the world, is that we don't only get the announcement, but we get the game this fall.
Oh, man.
And it's happening. Now, a few reasons for that. Most games that would have been scheduled to come out this year, in some way, shape, or form, the meat of it, the bulk of it was done. So a lot of stuff could be worked on from home or remotely or even with split up teams. There's, you can't do motion capture without being together and other elements of video game production development. But a game like this, I believe, was scheduled to come out this fall, maybe October, who knows. And for what it's worth, the last WB Montreal Batman game came out in October of 2013, just a month or two before the next-gen systems that were the Xbox One and the PS4. I predict we're going to see a similar fate here. So that is what I think's coming. I think we're going to hear about it very soon. I think we would have heard about it at this E3 on WB's press conference, as was stated. But like I said, the big caveat is I believe we're getting it this fall, and it's going to be on Xbox One and PS4.
That's not crazy. I think I can actually get down with that.
I hope it's true.
I mean, they've actually...
So it kind of worked in...
Yeah, let me get this straight. I hope it is.
They've actually teased this game. It's not like it doesn't even exist yet. Like, they've actively put stuff on Twitter that they've been working on this game. They've talked about
a long time ago.
Months ago, yeah. And then even before that, they talked about how their next project, like, they've hit milestones, stuff like that. This game exists. We all think it's the Court of Owls thing. I know that's like the leading theory, right?
Yeah, that was the rumor.
That was the huge story. I mean, I got so bought into that and just disappointed.
It could very well be. They've had these weird cryptic social media teases, like a picture here or just a random tweet here or there, but they've been like 7 or 8 months apart at times, and I feel like this game was teased as early last year, I want to say. So it exists.
But speculation was even before last year too, Joe. Like I remember like this going back 2-3 years of just, hey, WB might do it. It's just that we got more concrete potential information last year to go off of.
Yeah, so that's it for me. I think this is happening, and it's happening this gen, and it's coming out this fall. That's my prediction.
So you think they would end with a bang here? With
I do, because I think that's what they were going for with Arkham Origins, regardless of what you thought of the game. But I enjoyed. It wasn't on the level of the other Arkham games from Rocksteady, but still worth playing through. Mr. Pavlak, you got one more prediction?
This one's kind of cheating, but I think we would have seen those 3D Mario remasters.
See, I had it on my list and I took it away because I knew you would have it.
Yeah, and I say that because one of the big part of the rumors was that we were going to get a new Paper Mario for Switch, and that turned out to be true. So I think there is a ton of legitimacy to the rest of that rumor, and it's a great way to celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary.
How can you spin that to make it a prediction that could still come true in some way, shape, or form? Like mine, for example, I'm saying this is coming out this year for the Batman from WB Montreal. Do you have anything like that?
I think they do one a month through September through December. Like maybe Mario 64 is out in September, Mario Sunshine is October, the Mario Galaxy is in November, and then Super Mario 3D World Deluxe or whatever in December.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
I could see him staggering the releases a bit.
I would eat up all of it, let me tell you. As many people would.
A lot of people would.
Rashawn, you said one more?
Yeah, this is kind of cheating just because it's not an E3 prediction. Now that we have this new, it was going to be to your
cheaters everywhere.
But now with this new Sony event next, potentially, I think we could probably see it here. I think that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is a PS5 launch title. I know that's kind of a popular one, I think. Yeah. But I'm definitely, some people think it's other things. I'm on that line of thinking. I would, if E3 was perfect and glorious, we would have gotten obviously PS5 reveal based on where Sony's going. I think to combat Halo 6 or Halo Infinite, it would be Horizon Zero Dawn 2 versus Halo Infinite. Next gen, let's get it going.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't mention that is because even before COVID, PlayStation said they were not going to be at E3, so we wouldn't have gotten that at E3. Or
E3. I'm sorry, E3 time frame. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that could still happen. I don't know. I don't think that that event we're going to get next week. For some reason, I don't feel like it's going to be software. I think it's just going to be a hardware blowout. I hope I'm wrong. But just knowing the way Sony is slow played and trickled out information on this thing,
there's no reason for us to believe they're just going to dump a bunch of stuff.
One of two things: either we do get software, or we don't get the box. We're not getting both. We're not going to see the box and get software. They're gonna have two separate tentpole media events for those things. They're gonna take two bumps on that. I'm pretty sure. So whatever we get, we get. But
I'd get behind that, John. And I selfishly, what I would love to happen, I don't believe it would happen, is they reveal what the PS5 looks like, some other specifications, and what better scenario than at the end of it they say, "Oh, and here's a game running on the PS5," and showing off that.
Yeah,
right.
This is a good thing for the comment section to talk about. I'm curious to see what other people think, or in our different communities across social media. So again, like I said, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is my main prediction. That there's either one of two scenarios that happens. The second one is definitely more pipe dream, I think. The first scenario is, whatever they hold some event and then they show hardware, or maybe give us more details. This is pretending this is like a month from now. To end it, hey, just like you said, Joe, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, boom, here's a game running on the system. And again, release day battle between the next-gen systems, Halo Infinite, Horizon Zero Dawn. If you really want to go crazy, because I think this game, it's definitely not done, but I would assume the studio has something to show. You really go crazy because Sony can do this because they love one-upping Microsoft at every chance they get. You start off your conference or showcase with Horizon Zero Dawn 2. You get everybody jumping up and down, and then you end the conference. And maybe you again, just a tease. No gameplay, just maybe a title page of the next God of War game.
0% chance.
That is definitely more.
They don't have a director for that game yet. Yeah, more likely would be Spider-Man 2. So they acquired.
I was gonna say, substitute that for Spider-Man. It would be, I think that's the crazy Sony Haha, we got you, Microsoft.
I
if
think
they want to do like they did before.
I think God of War 2 is like a 2024 game. Like
you might be
that game doesn't have a director yet. Like they switch directors on that. Yeah, I mean they're early on that. Like interesting. But yeah,
if we got any two of those, I'd be all about it.
I switched.
Yeah, I could see a Spider-Man announcement, like not a hey, this is a launch title, but like this is what you'll get in your first year or so of being a PS5 owner. I could see that because that you imagine that game is going to run on the same engine because Spider-Man was gorgeous. They now own Insomniac. That deal's finalized, so that's a first-party studio now. So I mean, it's all happening in-house. So I could realistically see Horizon. That actually, the Horizon thing worries me too. I don't know because Guerrilla went through.
They got to give us knowing Sony with the amount of stuff that they have. They got to give us. Like, you can't release Knack 3. Don't release Knack 3 as this next gen system. Don't release that. Well, do it, but have something else. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's interesting, but
I gotta say, Spider-Man makes the most sense to me because. They could really replicate a lot of that first game with a new story and be okay with, I think, a lot of people. And also, the next MCU Spider-Man is not slated to come out probably till 22 now, right?
Not sure.
Yeah, but it would have to be 2022-ish time frame. Like maybe 2021 if they really pushed it, but 2022 is the safe year.
Okay. Yeah, guys, I gotta say, despite not having the E3 show this year, like I'm excited for everything we talked about here. I would love to see this come to fruition. The various topics, the various game releases that we mentioned here. We covered a little of everything. So, Pavlik's gone. So, that being said, we'd love to hear from you, the community. What are your predictions? Tell us for your current gen, next gen, Nintendo Switch with Mario. What are we getting? We want to hear from you on the various social media. Leave your comments in the comment section there.
I have a question for the group.
Sure.
I wish Pablo can answer, but it seems like he might be out. Do we think that Microsoft will just, release Halo, boom, talk to us in 2021 for more games? Or do we think there's another exclusive that people are hyping or not thinking of that could potentially also be a launch title? Or if not launch title, within 6 months of release, 6 to 8 months of release, maybe.
I think it's possible. I think one thing to keep in mind is that we do already know about the next Hellblade game, right? So we already have they did debut the next Hellblade, so maybe that is the next their second game they were thinking about. But I really want to see what that new studio is working on, the Initiative, the one that they kind of built from scratch. Yeah. When they were like doing all the recruiting for that, they were calling that like a quadruple A studio. Like they are like ready to get the best people in the business and get it done. So
would call it that.
Yeah.
I feel like there will be at least another exclusive, but honestly, it may be one that
Forza.
Yeah, Forza would make sense, but maybe one we don't know about, or one of the smaller scale things that they've teased already. Nothing that is a system seller though.
Sure.
Like a Halo.
Yeah, I would assume Halo is the system seller. Anything else is supplementary.
Yeah, you're not getting a Gears 6 anything like that. So that would be my thought. They'll hype it up and they'll do what they can with one of their millions of studios that they just bought in the last 3 years. But I don't know that it's anything. We'll see. Time will tell. Yeah. But Halo's enough for me. To
solid.
Oh, we lost Josiah too. It's just you and I now, Sean.
Listen, man, we can finally have that fight we've been talking about, fisticuffs.
Oh no, Josiah comes back just in time to break it up.
Don't Josiah.
The referee is here.
Wait.
We were about to go at it.
Oh my gosh. What's the last thing you heard me say? Was it Halo's enough for me?
And then once you blipped away, we were talking about how we were finally gonna have a fight. Now that Dad wasn't here.
Oh, like one by one, we're all just dying here. You are witnessing the end of Infinity War in Geekiverse style, everybody. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's over on that, buddy. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm sorry. So we should probably wrap up the show before it completely falls off the rails here. R.I.P. Pavlok. Go around here quick. Where can we find you on social media? And what can you plug for the Geekiverse? We'll start with John.
Yeah, I'm over at Disruptoid on all social medias, working on this G3. This has been fun to do bi-weekly. I hope there's a PlayStation event next week so we can do a cool little reaction to that and hopefully get some good news there. We'll catch us on the MCU Reviewed. That is a once-a-week review rewatch series. That's been a lot of fun. Oh, wait, did you guys lose me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they didn't. Don't worry. They heard me all.
Okay. It was just down to me and Rashawn, we thought.
No, yeah. So, I mean, I lost you guys too. I'm pretty sure you guys froze, but they can still hear me because I'm the one recording. So, yeah, MCU Review. That's weekly. That's been a lot of fun. That is a new MCU movie. We're going through them all every week. So, hop on board there. And then we're doing Pluscast once a month. That's been a lot of fun. We got some cool news. Rashawn brought it up. We got maybe some Kingdom Hearts crossover into Pluscast. Could be good. That's it for me.
I like it. Rashawn, where are you on social media?
Yeah, man. So you guys can find me here on the Geekiverse, here on Geeks Got Game bi-weekly. You can find me on the Pluscast every month. You can also find me on the MC Reviewed every week. Outside of here, you can find me on Twitter where I talk about stuff just like I did with everything here. I do that same stuff just on Twitter. And if you guys are gamers or want to watch games of any kind, variety streams or whatnot, catch me on my Twitch channel and my Twitter as well for this handle, True King Zero. I try to keep it very consistent, but yeah, Twitter for, engaging you guys, the fans, and Twitch for doing that as well, but playing some games while doing so.
And do not bring up to Rashawn FedEx or the Kensington McDonald's.
For people who don't even live outside of Buffalo, they'll be like, oh,
Kensington. That's why it's funny, because when we talked about it and John was like, is it the Kensington one? It was just hysterical to me.
Listen, just don't piss me off, man. Don't talk about the things he just said. Don't tell me that Jordan can walk on water, Michael Jordan can walk on water. There's certain things you don't say to another man, and those are some of them.
You just don't do it, folks.
You just don't do it.
Just keep it to video games, please. Just keep it. So I am at Josiah D. Leroy across social media. As the gents mentioned there, we've got a lot of shows going on at the Geekiverse at youtube.com/the Geekiverse, and then on most major podcast streaming stations, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, you name it. You can listen to a plethora of shows. So this is the last video, I believe, that's coming out during our anniversary month here. This was our 6th anniversary. We had a blast all month long. We'll continue to do that into the summer, but for now the celebration will be coming to an end. This weekend you'll be able to go to the geekiverse.storenvy.com. You'll be able to get our limited edition 6th anniversary shirt that we're concluding the month with here. Once they're gone, they're gone. So make sure you get your hands on that very soon. That is the geekiverse.storenvy.com. I'm going to hold it up here. If you are watching on YouTube, that is what the logo looks like. We have a bonus shirt because you, the fans, have been so supportive, the community, for the MCU Reviewed. We've had such a good time with it in the 5 episodes we've done. We had to do another Marvel-themed shirt. So, as we're all fans of Guardians of the Galaxy here, we are Groot. Go check that out. That will be in the store in conjunction with the 6th anniversary tee, along with over 20 other designs. We love video games.
Fire coming your way.
That's right. Again, we're so thankful to you, the community, for listening and tuning in and commenting on social media, telling friends about us. What better way to show your support by wearing the merch that we have in our official store? So, for John, for Rashawn, for Jeff, who's no longer with us.
Rest in peace, Jeff.
I'm Josiah. We will catch you in 2 weeks for another episode of Geeks Got Game.